Nós conseguimos uma entrevista exclusiva com o guitarrista Slash. Vários guitarristas do Brasil fizeram perguntas para ele, a gente vai ver agora. Vamos lá.
Alô, alô, Serginho. Prazer sempre participar do Altas Horas. Ainda mais para falar de um mestre da guitarra como o Slash.
Toca pra caramba, conhece muito seu instrumento.
Um guitarrista que influenciou e influencia um monte de outros guitarristas.
Quando eu comecei a tocar, eu fui fazer baile. E surgiu o Guns N' Roses na época, que foi um grande sucesso no mundo todo.
Quando eu tinha 7 anos de idade, eu comecei a tocar guitarra e, por incrível que pareça, foi uma música do Guns N' Roses.
Já tocamos juntos, não assim, fazendo uma jam juntos, mas teve uma oportunidade na Holanda, em 97, que eu fui convidado para fazer um show em prol do guitarrista Jason Becker. Para mim foi uma honra gigantesca, não só tocar com o Slash, mas como o Zakk Wylde também.
Eu lembro no AMB quando caiu uma tempestade, mas foi um showzaço no Rio de Janeiro também, então sempre acompanhei a carreira do Slash.
A minha pergunta para o Slash é o seguinte, é saber se ele coleciona guitarras como eu. Eu tenho 98 guitarras, gostaria de saber se ele chega junto comigo.
I'm not really what you would call a guitar collector, but at the same time I acquire guitars over the years and I just don't get rid of them. So it's a little bit of a different mentality, but I have roughly around 100 guitars as well.
Qual foi a sua primeira música? Aquela que você aprendeu a tocar. A primeira música que você aprendeu a tocar na guitarra e por que você quis seguir na música?
I think the first song, like song arrangement from beginning to end that I learned how to play was a Led Zeppelin song called Tangerine from the Led Zeppelin 3 album. And what made me want to pick up guitar, that's a good question, because I had been around music all my life growing up, but I didn't have any aspiration, didn't aspire to play an instrument until I met Steve Adler from Guns N' Roses, and he had an electric guitar at his house, and I was about 14, 15 years old. And so he wanted to start a band, and we listened to all the same music and whatnot. So I thought, well, he's got a guitar, I'll play bass. And it was just childhood fantasy type thing. But I went to go take lessons to learn how to play bass, and the teacher there had a guitar, and he was playing Sunshine of Your Love, Cream Song, and playing the leads from that. And I was like, that's what I want to do. And I picked up guitar, and I've been playing it ever since.
Gostaria de saber qual que é a influência do Jimmy Page na sua música, no seu visual. E se você já teve a oportunidade de tocar junto com ele, né? Se ele realmente é seu grande ídolo e se você teve essa oportunidade de fazer um som junto com ele.
Let's see, Jimmy Page was definitely one of my biggest influences when I first, well, it still is, I mean, one of my all-time favorite guitar players. And I don't know how much of an influence he had on my looks necessarily, but at the same time, I always thought Jimmy looked cool, so it had to have rubbed off a little bit, you know. And I definitely think that when I first started playing lead guitar, he was one of the first guys that I really sort of turned to get sort of styles from, and so on and so forth. So yeah, Jimmy Page was definitely a big influence on me growing up, and still a lot of the old stuff that he did still has an influence on me today.
Como é que está sendo a carreira solo dele? Porque ele está vindo de vários projetos, do Guns N' Roses, que foi uma das maiores bandas do mundo, e agora está com a carreira solo.
It's been, being in Guns N' Roses is obviously something that I'm very proud of. That's where I come from, and I managed to establish myself as, a rock guitar player in that band, and I've managed to move on and still be able to have aspirations as a guitar player. And I look back at that and see if I'm actually moving forward as the years go by since then. So, it's a good barometer. It's great having my own project. It's the first time that I've, in all these years, in 30 years, that I haven't been part of a group. So it sort of gives me an idea of what I'm capable of, and sort of also where I can go, and also gives me a lot of freedom to do whatever it is that I want to do. So I like it.
Slash, Você já gravou com vários ídolos da música pop rock mundial, né? Com Michael Jackson, Alice Cooper. Qual é a sensação dessa vez, nesse disco teu, de você poder chamar os vocalistas?
One of the reasons why I did a record where I invited all these different artists to come perform on my record was because I performed on so many other artists' records over the years. I finally got to a point where it was like I would like to do a record and have people guest on my album. So it was nice to have built up enough of a reputation and enough of goodwill to be able to call people and get them to come play on my record. You know, so it was a great experience and very humbling. Well, as far as writing the material is concerned, I had just, you know, written pieces of material here and there that I thought were cool and I'd put on tape. And after the last Velvet Revolver tour was over in 2008, I guess it was, I started compiling all this music. And I thought, you know, it'd be cool to do a record where I could get different people to sing this stuff. So I would just listen to what it was that I wrote and then think who would sound good singing it. So for every song, I thought, well, this one sounds like Ozzy, this one needs a girl singer, let's try Fergie, this one sounds like Iggy Pop, this one sounds, believe it or not, like Adam Levine, this one definitely sounds like the guy from Wolf Mother, and that's how I put the whole record together.
Eu queria saber como é que ele sente esse encontro do pop com o rock.
All right, well, the thing about pop music as it relates to rock music is that pop music is song-oriented to a point where it's very commercial. But I actually like certain songs in pop music, and certain pop bands have a very credible style and are super talented and not totally conforming to the industry. And those particular artists are icons for the most part, you know, and I like performing with them because I can take a little bit of what is sort of my sort of rock and roll attitude and apply it in a genre that people don't normally hear rock and roll guitar. And they work well together, you know. And it's an honor to work with artists that, even though it's in the pop world, who are really, really talented and good at what they do and can write some great songs, which in the rock world, sometimes that doesn't always happen, you know. It can be a little bit not so song-oriented, and I happen to like really good songs. The We're All Gonna Die tour started in March of last year. And the reason we called it We're All Gonna Die is because that's the name of one of the songs on the record. And what We're All Gonna Die really means is, you know, we're all gonna die someday. So it's like the lyrics in the song. So just be cool, have a good time, life's short. And so that's sort of the spirit of the whole tour, is just to go out and have the best time possible and stop worrying about bullshit and so on and so forth. I got to leave this angel city. I can't do it by myself.
Muito bem. Obrigado.